I believe in truth. But I'm also a big fan of justice.
Say that a hero can say,
What the hell is this?
gonna stand here.
Check this out.
I don't give a shit.
Did it, Patrick! We saved the city! Just think what might have happened.
You're a fraud.
Superman.
So yeah, Superman.
Shine bright like a diamond.
Before I went to watch this film, I decided to do some Superman research by giving myself a first watch of Superman 1978 and a rewatch of Man of Steel. AKA, we want to do a
Why so serious?
but not really, because we want to have an excuse to push in some heavy-handed Jesus metaphors
in a French-ass restaurant. Hurry up with my damn croissant.
and an extremely surface level about hope, so we can make do for some really over-the-top, mindlessly cool action scenes that, despite how cool they look, doesn't really amount to anything because you don't really give a shit about anyone in this film, and have it make the film be about the super instead of the man.
Hunter has become the hunter Ed.
I mean, it's just really bad considering I literally watched that 1978 Runners film of Superman, and I was absolutely impressed at how they managed to nail that Superman like its first goal. It's absolutely crazy to me when I was watching that. How the hell can people find the Superman so boring and find the very edgy and dark Superman so much more interesting? In fact, the whole entire generation literally grew up with this edgy Superman from like Man of Steel and Justice, all the evil Superman tropes, so even though I'm not really a huge Superman fan, I really do feel bad for the Superman purists in general. For all those years who are just yearning for an actual, honest to God, true return to the optimistic Superman of like the 1978 thing. Because by all means, we really do need this type of Superman. Because dude, if you're seeing the type of world we are living in right now, yeah, having all these evil Supermen like Homelander, Omni-Man walk around being popular just, I guess, feels like a really bleak reflection on how absolutely hopeless our generation is. So having Superman like come back in the form of a major starting point for a new cinematic universe is actually a very, very exciting prospect. At times, since I'm not getting paid at all for this channel, it would be great if you guys can give my video a like, comment, sub. It would be really great for my channel if, you know, you like what I'm seeing. Really gives me a encouragement boost because I'm not really feeling all that. Shut up. On to the review. Just like that, the screen just ended. Just in the first 5 minutes of the movie. It just turned off. What the fuck? Kevin Feige doesn't want me to watch this movie because it might diminish my opinion on the new Fantastic Four film.
Hi guys, just letting you all know, we're just sorting it out in a moment. We appreciate you waiting, it shouldn't be that long of a wait. Right, thank you.
Bro, we better get our money back or something. Oh shit. They just did it a second fucking time. 2 times. What is this? Oh, fucking joke. I paid like £30 for this. This is what happens. Like, people have schedules and shit. People need to go places, and this is what's happening to everyone. Everyone's frustrated. I mean, so far, I think the film is alright. Man, whatever is happening right now is absolutely surreal. Well, I came out with a free voucher from, and I got myself a Superman poster, which by my eyes is pretty damn good looking. So yeah, guess I got confiscated pretty well, I think. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, after my screening of this movie, all I gotta say is I owe Zack Snyder an apology. That despite that film, Man of Steel, being mid, at least I can say that film was memorable. As you can find in my video that I made about the DCU, I pretty much said this in my Man of Steel section. But despite the film's flaws, I still find it to be one of the more fascinating and rewatchable comic book movies of all time. It's a good video, we should go and watch it as well. Like, if I was to describe Man of Steel, that one's more or less like an alien invasion flick, which in hindsight kind of makes it better, because if you think of it through that lens, the film's actually pretty solid. I mean, it's not really the best, it still has its issues, but really it's kind of a unique, fun take on the Superman character as a whole. Even though it's not really that perfect, it's still going to make me continue coming back because of Zack Snyder's vision is very unique. Its use of his action is pretty damn great, intense, all that stuff. The film is pretty intense with his portrayal of all the alien stuff. It really does feel truly alien, which is something the new film doesn't do. Then you compare it to like the Christopher Reeve Superman, which is like the best Superman we've ever had on the big screen. That was just literally like old school Superman brought to the big screen, even though it was released at a time where the newer, more modern interpretation of Superman is becoming a lot more popular. But even so, absolutely love those Christopher Reeve movies. I love how that film interprets the distinction between Clark Kent and Superman. Like the way that film showcased Christopher Reeve's insane acting range is really impressive. Going from a very awkward individual to that of a very stern and authoritative figure who has a sense of swagger to himself. I really do appreciate 70s aesthetic, which I don't know, I know it was made in the 70s, but it gave the film a kind of a timeless look, in my opinion, something that makes this film have so much charm. It's pretty much just a callback at a time where things were so much more innocent and hopeful than what even the newest film even has. It's even reflective of how the villains are. They're not really as intimidating or scary as the newer ones are, but even so, they still gave the film a very like happy vibe, which feels like comfort food. That's how I'll describe that 1978 film, as comfort food. And then you got the new James Gunn Superman, which just feels like any other superhero film in the conveyor belt of superhero films. I mean, it's a good film, I'm going to explain it in this review, but damn son. Yeah, even though James Gunn's hands were present throughout the whole film, it still feels like he was just like obligated to work on the film. It's not really that sincere with what James Gunn can do. Like, he's way better at working with obscure characters. Working with a mainstay character of Superman, I think will be works better with some other direct. Like, this, honest to God, feels like the most generic film that he's ever made in his entire filmography, and I'm just going to explain why in this entire review. But first, I gotta talk about some of the things I liked about it. Of course, like, I'm not gonna be that petty. Alright, let's start. I gotta say that the guy playing Superman, he was good. He was very charismatic in the role, very relatable, very down-to-earth dude. He really does feel like Superman in terms of his quirks and personality, adopted to a more modern sense. He's not like the Golden Age Christopher Reeves one. He just feels like a very modern interpretation of that, in that he has to be very quirky and all that, which I guess works for this type of universe that's run under James Gunn. Then we got probably the best acted role in the film is Lex Luthor. Like, holy shit, this guy has got to be the most pettiest motherfucker to ever live in this planet. Like, holy shit. Like, the guy does everything in his power to just make Superman's life a living hell. Like, in this film, feels like, even though the stakes are actually quite serious, it almost feels kind of mundane and just the lengths this Lex Luthor guy wants to get back to Superman, because man, oh man, like the intensity he has towards Superman, like the amount of hatred he has is almost like psychopathic, but not in a very scary way, but more in a very annoying, like, bro, just shut the fuck up type of way. Like, you're such a sad little man type of way, which actually ends up making him feel very pulpy and quite funny as well, which again feels like a callback to the 1978 Lex Luthor and the other ones in the Donner and Renner films, where he is like the most ultimate hater of Superman. Like, everyone else is loving this guy, yet him and his lackeys are the ones who are like, man, fuck Superman, he makes humanity look weak and whatever. And it's like, bro, just shut the fuck up, you bunch of losers. Like, they don't feel scary, they just feel like the most asshole-ish, douchey, pathetic people you can ever find, which is what I want from LexCorp and what I want from like Lex Luthor himself, and this film nails the shit out of it. Like Nicholas Hoult, he was amazing as Lex Luthor, and I loved him in this film. I can always see him in other projects. Then you got Mr. Terrific and Green Lantern Guy, oh, those two, they were really great. Like, those guys had a lot of presence and charisma, but they didn't overshadow Superman at all in his own film, so those guys worked, especially Mr. Terrific. He definitely did have that blaxploitation vibe to him, which actually makes him feel very unique in the superhero sphere nowadays, because I feel like a lot of, I guess, creators are kind of afraid of embracing that aspect of, like, I guess, black culture in their comic book stories. So having him just be like a guy from a 70s era, just jam-packed to this really weird world of meta-humans, is really fun. And he does have that one standout scene where he's just beating the shit out of those guys with his mini drones. Like, it's a pretty fun scene. Not the best, but it was fun. And Guy had that really douche bro attitude, which I remember extremely well from those Green Lantern cartoons that I watched as a kid. Speaking of that, wait, I'm going to talk about that later. Okay, the other characters. Lois Lane, she was pretty decent as Lois Lane. Yeah, Yeah, of course, that's not really hard thing to do, but you gotta remember, guys, the last Lois Lane we had was like the Man of Steel, Batman v Superman one, like the one who pretty much is like, bro, she's the key, make sure she's not dead, because Man of Steel had this weird theme where essentially like, shit, if Lois Lane is dead, whatever, that means humanity's doomed forever, which is like one of the most dumbest plot points I could ever see that's been adapted to death in all these superhero, like Superman media.
I'm really, really mad. And now it's time to pass.
Hi.
I was wrong. She proved to be weaker than I thought she'd be.
From Injustice to like the Zack Snyder films is like, bro, I don't think Superman will ever snap like this if Lois Lane was to die like that. Like this Superman, I honestly feel like he's the type of guy who will not snap like that if Lois Lane was to die. He would just be very angry and shit. Like the way he dealt with Crypto being kidnapped, he wasn't pissed off, he didn't kill anyone, he was just like, bro, where is he? In fact, I'm just going to turn myself in because I want to know where my dog is, my cousin's dog is, which is like, that is like a very Superman moment, if I do say so myself. And that's one thing I like about the Superman, he's very optimistic, very chill dude. He actually saves animals and he actually prioritizes like civilian safety over anything. Like while the other heroes are beating ass and shit, he's literally doing everything in his power to prevent the amount of casualties in any given moment. Like big kaiju happening, he spends most of his time like flying up in the air so that the fire will not be hitting the people. That is something Zack Snyder's Man of Steel will never do. Because in that film he deliberately just brings the action towards them, or he like brings the action towards the people and the civilian places, and he deliberately like drags Zod around like buildings and shit, which is like, it just leads to a lot of like shrapnels going down on the streets and shit, and he does not seem to care at all. It's crazy. But in this film he literally saves animals, which is like, holy fuck, that's so Superman. Like it wasn't even played for laughs, it literally just felt like this is like Superman would do all the time. This is what I imagine Superman will be like. He's a Boy Scout, but he still feels pretty badass while doing it. And speaking of badass, I really do like this film's action set pieces. They're pretty fun. It definitely has a bit of style to it. Like, I do gotta admit, the third act of the film honestly feels like something straight out of a shonen anime. It's like very over the top, very anime with the camera work and fight choreography. It really did make me feel like I was watching like some really hype Dragon Ball Z fight, especially the part where he just goes around spinning with his lasers and shit while fighting all these mini monks, reapers, whatever. It's like, bro, this is really badass shit. I really like the film's message of hope and optimism, how Superman really does strive his best to be like the symbol of hope, instead of just being forcefully fed that, oh, he's meant to be hope because that's literally what his assigned role is supposed to be, since I guess he's his family's emblem represents hope, whatever. And I gotta give shout outs to the best scene in the film. It's probably that one scene where Lois Lane and Clark are just having this interview about his intervention with the international conflicts. I really do enjoy that scene because the dynamics and the questions of the morality of Superman just pushing his hands towards like these human conflicts, even though it does help people in the end, it actually ends up bringing some major ramifications and issues that are way beyond like Superman's limits. Like he cannot really solve because he finds all this human conflict way too complicated and annoying. Like, he literally just wants to save as many lives as possible. Pretty much just the pettiness of our leadership, our governments, they just make it nearly impossible. And you could just relate to his frustration when Lois Lane just keeps on responding back with more pressing issues about social media and all that junk, and he's just like, bro, I'm fed up, what are you talking about? I'm doing everything I can. But he still doesn't come across as an asshole. He still comes across as like a very genuine dude who's just really lost in himself. I mean, he's only been doing this for like 3 years or so it kind of makes sense why he still feels a bit rookie in the way of reacting to these very serious 100-year-old conflicts and shit. And with the positives out of the way, I pretty much have some negatives I want to talk about, because this film didn't really live up to my expectations. For one, I wasn't really a big fan of how they did with Ultraman, who I thought was one Japanese character, but then I found out he's actually a long-established Superman villain. Yeah, he's just a clone, which I guess explains how he made it to the Forest of, for fuck's sake, the Fortress of Solitude. But then it's also like he's just a clone, doesn't have any personality. You'd think it would be like Bizarro, but no, not really. He's just some random clone because of a hair string from, I guess, Lex Luthor he found after a battle. He was like, yeah, I could just make a perfect clone, so why not just make an army of Supermen? I don't know. You'd think him with his resources would do something like that, but I guess Lex is too Giga Chad to do something reasonable, like make a clone army. And then also speaking of Lex being a Giga Chad, like for some reason in that really weird scene where Lex just casually goes into the Fortress of Solitude, you got all the robots exploding and shit, and for some reason he does not react because he has that Vin Diesel family power up for being a baldy. And that's mostly because, of course, the CGI in this film is such a mixed bag, because I don't know, man, like the film feels pretty like fake looking. I don't know, it's weird because I see a film like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Suicide Squad, all those stuff, like more of his later work, and I was like, bro, the CGI in those films are top tier. Especially Guardians 3, like that film is honestly one of the best looking MCU films. I absolutely love that film. The CGI is top tier, like especially Rocket and all the alien planets and shit. In this film, it's like, it feels so strange and almost unfinished. It just feels rushed. Like Crypto himself, the way he moves and jumps is a bit very stilted looking. He kind of just got an actual dog wearing a cape, I guess, but I guess it's too much for James Gunn. I mean, I get he's a Kryptonian dog, but still, it's like he just felt pretty flat, and he feels kind of like, oh, okay, he's just there, I guess. Speaking of Crypto, I wasn't really the biggest fan of him because I remember him in that cartoon, that amazingly awesome DC Super Pet show. I loved that shit as a kid. Crypto was awesome. He can talk. He was smart. He's very cool. He's adorable. In this film, yeah, the only thing that got him right is that he's adorable. But man, besides that, he's just kind of a hindrance. But he does lead to the film's funnier laughs because he just feels like a very uncontrollable dog. And that's mostly because he's really obnoxious owner like Supergirl. She pretty much just leaves him around, so it explains why he's pretty much uncontrollable by Superman throughout the whole film, and how he nearly fucks up entire saving gigs because he's just doing his own thing, which is again really funny, but also is very irresponsible because Supergirl could have made this Crypto dog like accidentally injure or harm some kid, because this dog literally is attracted to any like circular object. So what happens if a kid was playing like a catch with a ball? Crypto could just see the damn ball and just like grab the thing and even accidentally like hit the kid, which will just destroy the kid's ribs, because you see how fucking strong Crypto is, to the point that, oh yeah, like Lois Lane cannot even move him an inch. Like he's pretty much like made out of steel titanium. Like it's really absurd shit. That's like, and yeah, also I wasn't a big fan of that scene where Crypto gets his face covered with the fucking nanobites by that engineering chick. I was like, what the fuck? Like, does James Gunn have an issue with animals or something? I mean, bruh, who wants to see a dog whimper like that? It's rarely is the darkest scene in the film. People were talking about that one scene where Lex Luthor just shoot that one dude in the face, that one big Superman simp in the face, but no, that scene where that poor doggy is literally whimpering, grasping for air, literally made me so deeply uncomfortable, and I sense other people were uncomfortable by that shit, because it's like, bro, okay. Anyway, the other problems is like, you got Hawkgirl. I don't even know what the fuck's the point of Hawkgirl. It's like, okay, I mean, they got the chick from Dina from The Last of Us, and I'm not a fan of her acting. She just exists in that film and in this film, and she's just there to be like Skrill in a very obnoxious and weird way. Like that whole scene where she's just chasing down the prime minister, I mean the dictator, while screaming in that really weird way, was like, what the fuck is this? It's just so absurd. And then she just casually kills the dictator, which is amazingly hypocritical, because throughout this whole film, a big plot point is the fact that Superman, he shouldn't be interfering with international conflicts and all that jazz. Like, there's a lot of issues, but as soon as this is like, what, Justice Gang character, like a person that most people don't care about, just murders a literal leader in a country, I guess nobody gives a shit. And I'm like, I don't get this film. Speaking of which, the whole social media angle of like how these people, they do make a great case as to why Superman should not really be that grateful towards these people, because you're just seeing footage of people like, okay, it's a really bizarre scene. So we're having this characterization of like Kal-El's parents pretty much being like, yeah, by the way, we want you to make a harem and look at these humans as inferior, so we want you to like impregnate a woman. So now we got guys talking about, so you're into harems, and I'm like, they particularly put focus on the whole harem parts of the issue. And I'm just like, it's James Gunn, what is he trying to get out of this? Is this some weird inside joke I don't get? Like, that whole theme was just really weird, and it's like, you're just seeing how everybody just immediately tells him to go piss off and go fuck himself in the bridge, and I'm like, why is everybody so quick to shit on this guy who's been protecting him for like the past 3 fucking years? I mean, is it meant to highlight how obnoxiously ungrateful humans are? Because I mean, that kind of describes how humans are in real life. You really think people are really going to be this grateful of having a guy like this saving them for free? Yeah, sure. Because man, it really did make me go, man, Superman, no wonder why some Supermen become tyrannical and evil, because they're just so stupid. Because people are just so stupid beyond that, and this whole film just kind of demonstrates how annoying people are And then you got Jimmy Olsen, the rest of the side characters. Who cares? I mean, the only one to actually care about is like Papa Kent and Martha Kent. Say Martha! And those two were great, especially that one barn scene. I wish we got a bit more of them, but they were barely there. Like Jimmy Olsen and that one where the really cringy chick, man, they're all terrible. Jimmy Olsen is barely there, but yeah, I mean, he is more of an improvement over the Zack Snyder one where he just gets capped in the face because Zack Snyder is a complete edgelord. But yeah, I also got another problem that has to do with the fact that this film is way too overstuffed for like being the first introduction to DC. People are not joking in the fact that this film does feel like an Avengers film. If Avengers 1 was to just be the first introduction, I'm like, nah, this feels like this is a film that was set during like phase 2 of Marvel. How you just got this huge revelation of like all these big aliens and shit being revealed to the world. In this movie, it's pretty much like 300 years people know about these superheroes, so it's kind of like, oh shit, okay, it's pretty much normalized. And then Superman, he's pretty much just there in the world. Everybody just knows who these guys are, so everyone's just used to it. I mean, it feels a bit like jumping into like a comic book age, but in the context of this film, it just feels a bit too jarring because you don't really care much about anyone, and everybody just seems to be acting so out of it in almost every situation, so you don't really give a shit. I mean, Man of Steel sucks, but at least I can feel a lot of the stakes in that movie. Like 100%, I felt the stakes. In this film, I didn't really feel any of the stakes at all. Because it just felt like, yeah, to these people, who cares if like half of Metropolis is getting ripped apart? It's just a day in the office, which I guess is very comic booky, which makes this film, technically speaking, probably the most comic booky movie of all time. But even so, kind of makes the film feel pretty kind of like, yeah, it's just there. And even though it's maybe the first film in the franchise, it's like, it doesn't really feel that big to me. It doesn't really grip me that much. Because yeah, even though the film is solid, I'm like, it doesn't really grip me towards the future of this universe as much as I did with like Iron Man. This one, I'm more like, I mean, like, it's fun, but I don't know if I will give a shit about Clayface. I mean, I am interested in like Peacemaker season 2. Speaking of Peacemaker, he makes an appearance. He was pretty funny. I love that. And also, that's like, I don't know, man, the film wasn't really a big fan of some of those James Gunn cameos, which has been kind of a staple of his latest works. Like, I heard that Creature Commandos show has some, like, I guess James Gunn self-inserts in the beginning animation or something, which is like, dude, we get James Gunn, you have such a huge ego, you don't need to keep on stroking your cock towards every single project you do. Like the way he just keeps on putting his family members and friends towards, I mean, I guess it gives him more identity, but it just kind of make things feel a bit, I don't know, too uniform. That's why I felt like that when I saw Sean Gunn making appearance. I was like, okay, bro, you kind of taking me out. I was like, okay, bro. Like, yeah, we get it, bro. But yeah, last but not least, I have to talk about the music, because yeah, the music is honestly to God the worst theme about the film. It's like, bro, it's barely even a presence in this movie, except for maybe that one scene where that one dictator just walks through that one teleport machine, and suddenly the most hardest villain drop just blasts in the background for no discernible reason, and just made me go, damn, the film's soundtrack is cooking. It's cooking. And then the next moment, the film doesn't really inspire much with its music. It just feels very unmemorable. And maybe besides that one part where the guitar plays when the kids are singing Superman's name with the Superman theme playing, that was a pretty good moment of the music playing. But the only problem with that is that the Superman theme is literally just like a remix of like the iconic John Williams score, which is like literally one of the greatest superhero themes of all time. You can't match it. Doesn't try to do something different, unique. It's just some shallow remake, which is something I'm seeing in a lot of like films today. Makes all these like unimaginative soundtracks and shit. Like, say what you will about Hans Zimmer. Oh no, I'm not gonna say that. Say what you will about Man of Steel. Holy fuck, that's a big flag. Say what you will about Hans Zimmer, but Man of Steel soundtrack, Hans Zimmer cooks the fuck out of it. Like that flight theme, all the songs of that film is a 10 out of 10. It is absolutely peak, and I mean peak music. Holy shit, I do not love Man of Steel, but that soundtrack goes so fucking hard. This film soundtrack, I don't remember much at all, except for how it just randomly uses his pop songs, because, not pop songs, like punk rock songs, because that's what the film's about, Superman being punk rock or whatever. It's kind of a really forced theming for this movie to make it stick out from the plethora of Superman media, but even so, it's like, James Gunn cannot resist using all these licensed tracks, and it just kind of pulls me out. It feels weird for this Superman like product, in my opinion. Like, Superman always works better if it had like more of a orchestrated soundtrack, and yet they just put all this weird licensed music. It does not fit Superman at all. Though we can all agree that one Iggy Pop song at the end, where he's looking at his methos of his parents, really goes hard. It was a really good moment, very touching. But besides all that, this film is a pretty okay start to the DC universe. But the only problem is that compared to something like Iron Man 1, this is a film I probably won't be watching again. It just feels so inconsequential. It just feels like, yeah, it exists to exist because Warner Brothers is desperate and they really want to kickstart a new universe so they can make money like the MCU does because of that really disastrous WB Discovery merger. They need to make their money back somehow. So this film just feels like it's made just to, I guess, add some forced relevancy to the DC universe. And it's like, I guess it will succeed a little, but for the most part, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. After seeing this, I'm like, I don't know if James Gunn is really the perfect fit for Superman. I mean, he did a good job, Superman. He understands the character, but after watching this film and seeing his directing style and the decisions he made, I was like, I think you should give it to somebody else because James Gunn being in charge of this just feels pretty like, damn, I don't know, man. Feels like he's just doing this for like a committee, unlike something like The Suicide Squad and Guardians 3 and the other Guardians movies. Those films feel like he was doing that out of a passion. Same with Peacemaker. Those things feel like true passion projects. This one just feels like he needs to do it because Warner Brothers is kind of making him doing so. As a result of that, I won't really remember this film at all. Sorry, I'm not really talking real because I'm thirsty as fuck. Anyway, it's like if I was to see this film on a streaming platform, I'll watch it. That's what I'll do. Well, it's not gonna be something I'm going to be like, oh shit, I need to watch again and again. I'm like, eh. Yeah. I mean, like, maybe my opinions have been kind of neuter because of the amount of times I've seen that annoying Fantastic Four like song play over and over before the film started because yeah, the film's gonna have a really annoying fucking theme song playing throughout. I'm not really excited for that movie, whatever. Anyway, and also because of my Odeon screwing up my screening over and over. But even that's out of the way, this film is resounding like 7 out of 10, I guess. It's not the worst film. I mean, 7 out of 10 means it's good, and that's what I'll say about it. It's good, it's mid, but it's not. It didn't really live up to my high expectations because, you know, I'm a big James Gunn fan. I love Peacemaker. I love The Suicide Squad. I love Guardians 3. I love all the Guardians films. Like, bro, James Gunn just knows how to do comic book movies. But after seeing this, I'm like, this is probably like his first big fumble. Like, even though Guardians 2 is, at least I find that film to be a lot more enjoyable, a lot more fun to watch. And that film had a very personal vibe to it, which is something this film kind of lacked. Like, this film lacked a great sense of like being a very personal movie because, believe it or not, I always feel like the previous James Gunn works always feel pretty personal with the characters, the shows, and all that. And this film feels way too damn big and overstuffed that doesn't really feel like much is focused around the like personal side of Superman. That's why I literally thought about like how this film lacks any Clark Kent and Superman. Like, if James Gunn really was to put his heart in it, he wouldn't have had a lot more Clark Kent, which is something Christopher Reeves to this very day does the best, is the balancing of Superman and Clark Kent, showing how different they are. In this film, I barely sense any like difference between Clark Kent and Superman at all. I just feel like the same guy. Like, how for some reason people still think he's kind of a dork, weirdo, when Superman people kind of love him. I'm like, I don't know, he feels kind of the same kind of dude. It's just that he's wearing glasses, which the film kind of points fun of, but it's like, it's not really that interesting because you can barely tell the difference between two at all. They just feel like the same guy, so the joke kind of falls flat because we're living that self-irony world. You can't be that sincere like the originals. But yeah, that is my review of Superman, and yeah, I don't really got much to say about it besides, yeah, it could have been a better film. It's a fun one. So I'm very much at the end of the video. If you guys will want to give out your views on the film, please don't hesitate to put it on the comment section. I like to respond to people's comments and all that jazz. I like talking to people. But yeah, hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.